YouTubers, CarJunkeez in the house. This one is part 11 of the Mk1 transit build. If you want to check out the other ones, have a look at my playlist on my YouTube, CarJunkeez. So yeah, starting off this one, it's winter, it's freezing. It's just about 2021 now, and the world's gone mental. But we all carry on as normal. Doing a bit of the plumbing and the intercooler setup. So basically the Defender normally has, on the 2.2 TDCi 2015 Defender, they normally have the power steering pump here, so I've had to put a little idler pulley there in place of it. It's actually a TD5 one. So I've put that on there, and also put a TD5 one in here because obviously there's no aircon. So I've worked out what size belt I need with a piece of string and measured it. So I've ordered one of them. And the only reason I've left this on, because I was going to do away with it, is because I'm going to use a TD5 viscous fan. Because the Puma one, the TDCi one, it steps away from the engine quite a lot, whereas the TD5 one is quite close to the engine. And it'll fit perfect with the Mk1 Transit original radiator. So I'm going to be using that again, because it's in good condition and it's a big radiator, so it'll do the cooling alright. So that's that setup. And then this intercooler, it's actually off a Range Rover Vogue 2005. Quite a thick intercooler. So all I'm doing at the minute, I'm going to mount that underneath. Yeah, so I've got some axle stands there. So basically, it's going to live around there like that. And then I've just got to sort this intercooler pipe out. And then the other one, it normally has this. Now this sort of drags it over the top of the engine. Yeah, and basically it's to get over the top of the power steering pump at the bottom there. Well, I'm not running that anyway, like I said, so I can actually, you can see the pipe just there. I'm just going to put a 45 down there in alley and a 45 up here. So I bought a 180 here, 52mm, 2mm walled. I'll just whip that off, and that one's going to be going in there. So I'm going to be tigging that, so that can go up to that one, and another 45 up there. So that, and then a straight couple in between them. So that sort that side out, and something similar on this side as well. You know, I'll just put a 45 in there, and I'll be able to run it straight into a boost pipe there. So I've got that sussed, but let me just get this out again. That's considerably bigger than that, so I'm just making a sleeve at the minute. So I'll be putting the sleeve in and everything, and then I can TIG it all up then. So I'm just getting on with that at the minute. And then I've got the heater pipes as well to sort out, because I've took all the DPF and the cat and the EGR valve off the back of the engine and everything. I can simplify the plumbing for the heater. It's got the original heater matrix in off the Mk1 Transit. So I'm just running the heater pipes down the back of the engine. One can go in the pump, the other one will come into the top hose. It has a temperature sensor in the top hose on the 2.2. So I've got the plumbing for that. I've ordered that off the Defender. That's this one here. So I can make use of that because it's got a bit of a funky sensor in it. So that goes. I can't remember how it goes actually. I think it goes on there somehow like that. So I'll get that sorted, and then also on that 45 down there for the intercooler, and you have a sensor on the pipe there, so I've got to weld something on that, and it's just a inlet air temperature sensor. So I've got to sort a bit of welding out for that, incorporate that. So that's what's going on at the minute. So yeah, just doing a bit of cutting and do a bit more tigging. And basically the brackets on the top for holding the intercooler, I can just do some folded piece of aluminium, weld it to the top of the intercooler, and use the existing holes for the radiator, just slot it underneath with some longer bolts, so don't have to do no drilling and everything in the Transit itself. So it's all going to work out all right, I think. So that's them 2 pipes welded on. Just done them at 45 degrees. Just one of them's just a bit offset, so I'll try that up now and then do the brackets for the top. So I just folded a couple of brackets, so just take them on. So I'll give that a trial fit now. Took the mounts off for the radiator, so they're just going the same holes as them. So that fits all right. The bracket's okay there. And then just got the original pipe there, which I can cut down, and that'll go on that side. So that's sorted. Then I've got 45, which I've got to cut down, and that'll go up there on that side. Cut it down and put a straight coupling down there. That should be alright for the intercooler pipes. And then I'm just going to spray the front of it matte black. So that's the intercooler on. It's staying on. Just painted it black there. Still not dry yet. And then, oh, plumbing's alright. Got that pipe cut down there. That fits in there just. Not tightened it up yet, but that's in now. It's staying in the intercooler. And then this pipe up here, I've just cut that 45, but what I've got to put on it, on the side of it, I've just got to put the temperature sender boss in, so I'm going to have to weld something in to get in. Just got to replicate that there, same sort of thing, so I'll just take that out, and just got to take this sensor in it, so it should be easy enough. So I just got a bit of alley there, just chop some of that off and then drill some holes in it and take that on. So yeah, like I said, I've just got to replicate that, which holds the air intake temperature sensor in, and I've just got to place it on that 45. So I just got a little block of alley there, I just tapped it out and drilled it out, so I'm just gonna weld that to there. So I've got that block welded on now. It's nice and flat, and drilled the holes and tapped it out like I say. So that goes in there like that, and then just a little Allen head in there. Nip that up, chuck that on. Job's a good one. So I just made myself a beading tool for obviously putting a bead on. That's not the one what I've done, like, that's an original one. Just a pair of mole grips, just put welded like a bolt in there. I've just done it at a bit of an angle and that, so I'm just going to try it out on this pipe. Make sure it works first. Not too bad. So that's all done now. I've put the sensor in it. That's all good in there. And I've done them beads with my super tool. Put that pipe on what I've made up there. It's all connected up now. Happy days, mate. So let's talk prop shafts. That's the original one. It's like a flipping pea shooter. So that is a bit bony for the power that I'll be putting through it. And then this section here with the bigger donut, that's off a 3-piece Mark 7 2.4 Transit rear wheel drive. So that's the front section of the 3-piece, and then this section was bolted up to that section, and that's off a short wheelbase Mark 7 short wheelbase 2.4 Transit. But this spline is different than that spline, so I've got that bolted up just to measure it, but that spline's not right. So what I've got to do, this is the right length apart from an inch out, so I need to take an inch out of that, but I've got to cut this and put that section on that section because this spline's different. Yeah, talk about confusing. But once I've done that and welded it, that'll be alright. And because that's a lot smaller, isn't it, for the rear axle on the Mark 1 Transit, I've had to make an adapter flange. So I've made that just out of a sheet of steel, just this steel over here actually. I think it's 12mm. So I've got that steel there, nice heavy duty stuff, just cut a square out of it. And then what I've done is I've bolted it. This is the flange of the Mark 1 Transit rear axle. So I just drilled 4 holes in this plate and mounted that in the lathe. And then what I did, you probably can't see it, I'll take it off in a bit and show you. I just marked a circle in the centre and I built up some weld around it and then spun it in the lathe, just so it's got the recess. Well, it's got a bit which comes out and goes into the recess of this flange. Then I flipped it over the plate and bolted it back on and did the same for the recess in this knuckle, because that's slightly different diameter. So, and then drilled and tapped it, and it's all good that. I'll take it off and show you in a bit anyway. So that's the prop shaft update anyway. So I've got to get on with cutting these. I'm going to try and cut them in the lathe so it's a nice cut, or at least cut part of the way through and then finish it off with the grinder, just so it's nice and level so I don't have to balance it again. So that's that flange that I've made. So basically that bit, I know it looks a bit rough, like I just built it up with weld and then just spun it up in the lathe, so it's got a bit of a lip on it, but fits in there perfect. There's no play whatsoever in that. So that's gets secured to that, and then obviously that goes on there, and then I've built that up with weld as well and spun that in the lathe. I could have spun all this thinner, but it was easier just to do that with weld, you know. So that fits on there perfect as well, centralises it perfect with no play in it. I just tap them out, and I've got some M12 with a 1.25 fine pitch on, so they're nice in there. So the prop shaft on, so that's all good. Well, I got that centre bearing off that one alright, but you always get one, don't you? Does not want to budge. Well, she went with a right bang, but it's off. Happy days, mate. So before I do the cutting, I've drilled an hole in one what I'm not using, the end one, because I'm using this end. So I've got my bore scope here, so I'm just going to have a look in it and see what the situation is. Oh yeah. So it looks like this section is in one and it's slotted inside this tube and then welded here, so I reckon it comes to about here, but I'm going to get a bit of wire down and measure where it is so I know where it is. So that means I'll probably be able to spin this in the lathe, and that section what's left over I'll be able to chop this section and slot it in there and weld round it again. So yeah, that's given me a better idea of that, so I'll get on with that I think. we got through the first one. It was a bit scary, but it went, didn't it, Ginge?
It did, proper job.
Yeah, so that's that one done. Now to get that other one in there. So we've got that bit off. That was on there. Start to slit it down there because they heat the prop shaft up to put over this flange, so I'll do the same. Just welded that up. Should be nice and strong, that. So that's it, a bit of paint on it as well, all welded up. Should be alright that now. That's at the right length as well, so get it all together now, isn't it? That's the prop shaft done, ready for throwing on. I've put the decent bearing and mount on. I've put all Sikaflex like I normally do because the crapper's standard. So I've done all that so it's nice and strong. Put all the grease in, synthetic CV2 grease in the knuckle joints, universal joints, so that's all good. And then I've finished my little adapter plate as I've shown you. I just chucked some paint on it. Well, it's on. There's all the flange all bolted up. It's really nice. Just got to make a bracket for the middle, so I'll sort that out. It's not that hard, that. And then got to get some bolts for the front there. Just put 2 in temporary, they're a bit long, so I'll order them off eBay, but it fits nice and chunky. That'll do me. So I just made this bracket for the centre bearing. I know it's a bit overkill like, but it'll do. So nicely welded on there. Bit of checker plate. That's all I could find, but it'll do. Little nuts and washers, and welded them in up there as well. They were already there from the original centre bearing on the original prop shaft, so take advantage of them already. That's pretty much it. So like I say, I'm going to thread these pipes through there and tie them all back. But there it is, it's all on. The bracket. Should be nice and sturdy, that. So that's it, prop shaft on. I just got to nip all them up. Got the bolts in front as well. So yeah, chuffed with that. So I just done a pressure check on the radiator, just did a bit of compressor and all them pipes, blocked them all up. And it had a big leak on the top hose, so I've soldered it up anyway. Seems alright now. I've done a pressure check again and yeah, it seems alright. So just going to throw some paint at it now. So I've got the radiator in and got the bull nose back on. That's all bolted up, so that's staying on now. So all plumbing's done now for the coolant. Radiator's all plumbed up there. Just had to do that bit of stainless at the bottom there. I've left the viscous off because I'm going to get it warm first without the viscous on. But viscous is there ready to go, and it fits anyway, so that's alright. Had to get another fan belt because that other one was too tight, so I've put that on and that's alright. Got an header tank there off a Focus ST, so still keeping it forward, so that's alright. So that's on, and yeah, there's no leaks at the minute. The original Transit radiator seems to be holding up anyway after the little repair what I've done. So I think I'm going to fire it up and let it warm up. I know I've got no exhaust on it, I just got a little bit of a alley elbow pointing down there. I might chuck something on the other end of it so it doesn't get all dirty. So I'm just going to back it up, open the doors, and then fire it up and let it warm up. side door. Running. Well, she's running alright. It's got no exhaust on it yet, so it's a bit noisy. But yeah, all good. First time she's been reversed out of the workshop, right hand drive. Well chuffed. Got to fill the gearbox up with oil, sort the exhaust out, then I can take it for a test drive. I've put some battery terminals on. I just got to mount that in the back there. Eventually I'm going to be building in here anyway, like a unit, so I'll box it in with that. Got my new number plates on. They look pretty funky. Got one on the front as well. All snazzy. So that's pretty much done the front end there. Managed to get the Land Rover cover on as well. Had to do a lot of trimming at the back. But that's on as well. Looks the part now. Yeah, so she's getting there. So I decided to move the handbrake from the left hand drive and move it to the right hand drive. And there's a section underneath which is all spot welded. I've just got to drill this hole and move that over to this side. And what a pain in the ass that was getting off. So there it is. I just cleaned it up and put some weld through spray on that side. Strained it out ready for going back on. Used a little spot weld drill bit there to get it off. Still dead difficult though. And then there's that section on the rear as well where the cable goes through. So that goes on the chassis like that. And then the cables go through. But that's all wore out, so I'm going to weld a couple of washers on and then cut some slits in it just to reinforce it. It's old though, innit? I'll just show you underneath though. So that's where it come off that bit for the rear where the handbrake cable goes. And I've just got to move it to the right there. That was a pain getting that off, but this was even worse up here. Look at the state of that. Right flipping mess. So I'll neaten all that up. I'm going to weld a thicker steel plate underneath just to reinforce it. So I've got to move that over to this side. And what do you know? I've put one of my brake pipes through the hole. So I'm going to have to move that brake pipe. I don't like it there anyway. And then I'll weld all that lot back in. Just thought I'd paint my handbrake while I'm in the middle of doing that. And then my exhaust bits have landed, which is good. Got my little tight bend 2.5 inch for going off the back of the turbo going down. And I'll cut that in half and put a length on that. And that'll go down underneath the vehicle into a length of 2.5 inch stainless. Going to the box. That's a nice box that, isn't it? 2.5 inch, and then coming out on the other half of that 180 to an elbow. Going out for a side exit. So should be quite simple to do. Bit of stainless bar just to make some mounts as well. Weld them onto the silencer. Happy days. So I took the rear drums off and the handbrake cable off and flipped it because this side was longer than that side because it was a left-hand drive. So I needed this side to be the shorter side. So I've done that, put it back together, and then I'll just get underneath here. Just get in my pit. Got a problem with my pit as well, which I'll show you in a minute. And then that bracket there was over there. So that is now welded on there because it's from left-hand drive to right-hand drive. So I'll put the rod in, and that mechanism which was over there, I've just put a plate over there. And then I've welded that on there, so that's on, and all the mechanisms on as well. So that's all good for the handbrake. And then my pick, listen to this. Look at that. It's like a flipping waterbed. So I fiberglassed it a couple of years ago, and it's all got water underneath it and delaminated, so I'm going to put a board down. Yeah, it had a couple of punctures which I've repaired and that, because it usually fills up a couple of foot of water, but that's not good, that, is it? Look at that. Not good at all, mate. And there's the handbrake from the left hand drive position to the right hand drive position. So I just finished welding up all the exhaust. So that's going to be the side exit. So these two pieces are that 180 what I had. I just chopped them in half. So that'll be the side exit, and I've got to chop that down a bit tailpipe. This is the front pipe, so that goes on the back of the turbo. But if you have a quick look, normally on the Defender 2.2, it has the CAT and DPF which goes on there. So it's a bit of a funny like flange, it's tapered. Probably can't see it there, rather than a flat, whereas a normal V-band is normally flat. So I found a similar size V-band, and I think I've shown you on a previous video. Look, that's where the flat. So all I've done is I've put it in the lathe, and I've trimmed it down and tapered it as well, so it goes in as a taper there. So that fits on that flange on the vehicle dead good now on the back of the turbo. So yeah, welded that on there, and then I've got, like I say, a tight radius, 2.5 inch there, going to a long radius, 2.5 inch, and then that'll go into my silencer. It's got some trippy lights going on at the minute. Disco. So yeah, that will go in there, and then I've got this mount which will go on top. That just goes in there, and then I've got that which bolts into like the chassis member. That'll bolt onto the chassis member there, so that'll go in there like that. And we're just going to put a U-bolt on that, so that'll be the front pipe in one section. Then I've got like that, and then the tail pipe, which will just go on here. I'm going to TIG weld that to there. That just goes in there. TIG weld that. That'll be a side exit. So yeah, that's the full system. Anyway, flipping battery run out then. Yeah, I've just got existing mounts on the Transit. What I'll be using, I'll put them two orange ones on there, so I'll make use of them as well. So yeah, should come together all right, that. The exhaust is on. There she is down there. A bit of a side exit there. Not bad that. She looks alright underneath there. All mounted up. Shiny. Just put a clamp on that bit there, just in case I've got to take it off. Yeah, she fits alright anyway. In a bit of trouble with that V-band, but yeah, it's all good now. Right, we've put the bonnet on, haven't we, Ginge?
We have indeed.
We have. So I'm going to reverse it out, give it a bit of a wash, because it's absolutely filthy.
Oh, mucky girl.
Look at the state of that. So yeah, there she goes. I'll give the camera to Ginge.
Yeah, oh.
Fire her up. I've even put a seat in it.
Let's have a look at his seat. Oh, look at that.
Look at that, mate. I think I need to move it back a bit. My couch is stuck at the minute. I'll sort that out in a minute. I can't even open the doors or wind the windows down because all the handles are on.
You be right. Looks mint.
Little side exit there. Get the hose pipe out now, mate. Well, this is it, the first voyage since being right-hand drive. She's out, she's washed, and she's ready for action. So the first test drive, and Ginge is on the floor. I'll pass the camera over to Ginge.
Here we go.
Let's go fuel up. Woo! And we're away on the bumpy track. Dodge all the holes.
Remember, it sounds like you're calling Jan Shetland ponies.
Well, we're in 4th gear already, so I don't know about that rear axle ratio. Might have to modify that. Might have to get a different ratio rear axle. But she's driving. Feels alright.
It was, doesn't it?
Yeah. Obviously, I've got the math sensor just tucked in, so I've got to stop code up. But sort that out when I've done the intake.
Has it got into limp mode then?
Yeah, yeah. Whee! Get a bit of fuel in there.
A little bit of sunshine as well.
Sunshine, mate. We're in 5th gear. Feels alright. Brakes are working.
Yeah, got brakes.
That's always a bonus, isn't it?
Yeah, we need them.
Hey! Woo! Get 6th gear. Woo! Woo-hoo-hoo! Good limit, good limit.
Double check and everything. Hey, we're here, we made it to the fuel station. Obviously, no doubt of that.
There we go. Chuck some fuel in there. Filled up. Just put half the tank in just to see how she gets on. Straight out, mate.
Straight out.
Straight out of Compton.
Crazy for ice cube.
Feels alright though. Feels good, mate. Right, well we're back. The first voyage is the right-hand drive. Went alright, didn't it?
Fine, yeah.
A few little niggles. Yeah, a few little niggles and that, but she's back anyway. So yeah, I'll just give her a rinse off underneath because I've splashed her all with mud. And then get it back in. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for this one. So thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.